Hello my dear .NET and Blazor friends, Patrick here, and it seems lots of devs have problems or are confused regarding the pre-rendering feature, let's call it, in Blazor with .NET 8. You know, maybe if you want to use Blazor Server or Blazor WebAssembly or the auto mode, the auto render mode, then you see that kind of flickering effect. Maybe you get data, weather forecasts for instance, and you see the data for a very little time, and then you see the loading text, and then again you see some data. Now what the hell is that? Well, the reason for that is pre-rendering, and in this tutorial I will show you how to fix that and to think about, do you actually want to use pre-rendering or not? So let's do that in this tutorial today. If you learned something and like this tutorial, then please guys hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. It does make a difference, and with that I'm able to create more and more tutorials like this one here. And if you want to support me even further, then please check out my Patreon page. Links in the video description. Thank you so much for considering, and now let's start with the tutorial. So as you can see, Blazor web app is what I want to create. We use .NET 8, and for this example I just use the auto render mode, because then you see that we have all the capabilities, all the boilerplate code already for Blazor Server and Blazor WebAssembly here, and I'm choosing per page or component for the interactivity location. We include the sample pages because this is what I want to show you. And when this thing is created, we can actually, there it is, we can actually run this already, because here we see the counter page, right? This is the render mode interactive auto now. And here in the pages, we've got the weather. And this thing here, this is Blazor SSR, static server-side rendering. Let's have a quick look, and then we see how this result will, well, look like. And after that, we will try Blazor Server and WebAssembly, and then see if there is that flickering effect and how to fix that. All right, so there we are. I will already open the console here, for instance. So we see when I go to weather, no logs regarding Blazor Server or Blazor WebAssembly, right? I can just reload the page. I see loading, and then I see that the data is here. Beautiful. Okay, now let's go back to the code, and instead of adding streaming rendering, we say now I want the render mode interactive server, for instance. So let's just restart the application. It's rebuilding. Let's try that one more time. We see now that we've got a WebSocket connection, and when I go to home and then to weather, I'm not sure if you could see that, but let's, well, maybe throttle the network connection and also start debugging then, because then you will see that we will definitely, when we go back to the code, we will definitely enter this method here, the on-initialized async, well, 2 times. Okay, so one more time, let me go to home, and then please pay attention here. You will see a change in the address bar, of course, and then you will see a flickering effect, and then again the loading text, and then the data. So I go back to weather now, and there was a little bit of flickering, then the loading text, and then the data. And now let's go to network, and then add throttling to fast 3G maybe. I go back to home. Now this takes a little while. Then I go to weather, and I should, yep, there you see it, right? Now it's clear. Again, I go to home, and then I go to weather, and there again there was a little bit, now it was faster, flickering, loading, and then the data. And I think you get the idea, and the most important thing in this particular example is that the data is different because of, well, the randomization here, right? In the code we just get random data. Now let's just stop the application by closing the terminal here, and then run this in the debugger. Okay, I had to restart Visual Studio because I was not able to insert a breakpoint, and I have no idea why. But anyways, now we've got the breakpoint. I'm starting the debugger, and we see the breakpoint here, right? In the on-initialized, doesn't really matter where exactly the breakpoint is. I just want to show you that we are entering the on, or how often we will enter the on-initialized async method. So now here we are at the hello world page, the home page. Now we go to weather, first time, then I just continue, and again a second time, and I continue again, and now we are back. See that? So 2 times. And again, the reason for that is pre-rendering. This means when we have a look here again in the console and the network tab, still no, not Throgot, of course, because I start the debugger. Let me just remove the breakpoint here. I go to home. Now I go to weather, and I see here that the preview already is the complete page. And then again, we enter the uninitialized async, and you see that the data now is different, right? Here it's 29 degrees Celsius, and here it is 10 degrees Celsius. So pre-rendering by default is activated, and it might make sense in certain situations. In particular, if you're thinking of SEO, search engine optimization, but in other situations, you really don't need pre-rendering and you don't want that. So how do you fix that now? Well, instead of simply using render mode interactive server, you have to create a new instance of the interactive server render mode, and it's exactly the same thing for the WebAssembly or the auto render mode. So here now, so it was a bit easier before the final release, because there we had the attribute with the render mode, and there we could just switch the parameter for pre-rendering. Now we have to create a new instance. This looks like that. Add, and then in parentheses, new interactive server or render mode, and I have no idea why IntelliSense is not. Oh, now it is working. All right. Pre-render false. Okay, that's it. That's everything you have to do. Render mode, and then a new interactive server render mode with pre-rendering set to false. Down here it was. All right, now it works. Great stuff. There we are. We go to weather, and we see it is hit. Now I just continue, and we're back. And as you can see, actually here we have no preview now. And here we have the data. One more time, maybe we go back. We see breakpoint hit. Beautiful. Let's hit continue. It's the only time we're here. And yeah, because of the debugger, it's switching. But now here again, we see it cannot preview the page, unfortunately, but we see, or should see, that there is no flickering anymore. We have no pre-rendering anymore. Let me try that one more time without the debugger. That's the one. All right, F12 again. We are still throttling here with fast 3G, so we can go to weather, and it's really slow, but you see no flickering. It's just a blank page, then the loading text, and then the data. And this is what I actually wanted to show you. The preview now looks different, right? We have the main layout in essence only, with the navigation bar or the sidebar here, the navigation menu, and then the content comes afterwards, right? So this is now the effects with pre-rendering disabled. And again, a second time, and now I cannot display the data here. I have no idea why. Please tell me why in the comments. So with that, well, you can actually stop the video, because it is really exactly the same thing for WebAssembly. For instance, when we now say, we just move that here, close it here, all right, or not close it, delete it, and now it's on the client, and now we can just switch that, or maybe say first add a render mode, interactive WebAssembly, comment this out, all right, and now we say restart the application, attempting to reconnect. Now the interesting part will also be when we go to the console, that we should actually, I was hoping we see the WebAssembly comments. Maybe I should have stopped the application manually. Okay, I cleared the cache, refreshed everything, no throttling anymore. Let's just reload the page one more time. And now we go to weather, and we should, yep, there is our WebAssembly. And you also saw that we got the data first, then the loading text, and then the data for a second time. And when we want to fix that, then again, it's the same thing. We just create a new instance, but this time of interactive WebAssembly render mode, save that, restart the application, and we still see WebAssembly, but we have no flickering effects. And the last thing would then be actually the auto render mode. There it is. And maybe first without or with pre-rendering. All right, so now it's enabled. And with that, we should actually see, yeah, first the WebSocket connection and then WebAssembly. And when we add this second time, we should see that we have no WebSocket connection here anymore. And there's also this flickering effect. I hope you can see that on YouTube. Otherwise, you just have to believe me or just try that out by yourself. Maybe when you're watching this video, you had that trouble already. But again, when you now just create that instance of the auto render mode without pre-rendering, then you have no flickering effect, and I think you have the behavior you want, right? And even with the auto mode first, WebAssembly, and then when the user revisits your page, then we're using WASM here and we have no flickering, no pre-rendering. That's it. I hope you learned something. If so, please guys, hit the like button. You know the drill. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to all my supporters on Patreon. I love you forever. Thank you very much for watching and I see you next time. Take care.